Welcome to the AI Disability Podcast, where lived experience meets artificial intelligence. My name is John McKenna, using an AI-generated voice to explain that I'm the human producer behind the AI Disability Podcast. I bring over 60 years of lived experience as a person with a physical disability, along with a lifelong interest in accessibility, inclusion, and the power of shared experiences. As producer, my role is to choose the themes for each episode, guided by my belief that some messages, experiences, and conversations need to continue to be heard. From there, artificial intelligence researches the theme, develops the conversations, using two synthetic voices you will hear as your hosts. Together, we explore disability, technology, accessibility, inclusion, and the future possibilities of AI. Because this podcast is AI generated, listeners are encouraged to independently verify information. The content is designed to encourage discussion, curiosity, and exploration, and should not be assumed to always be complete, accurate, or factual. The voices are artificial. The message is real. Imagine you're at a doctor's appointment or Centrelink or a school meeting and everyone is speaking quickly, using big words, jumping topics, and then asking, "Do you understand?" What if the honest answer is, "Not yet, I need time"?
And what if saying that out loud feels embarrassing or risky or like people might think less of you? That's the bit we don't talk about enough.
I'm Riley, and today Ashley and I are talking about cognitive disability, intellectual disability, and respectful communication. Not as a checklist, but as everyday inclusion.
I'm Ashley, and the positive news is a lot of this isn't expensive or complicated. It's about slowing down, being clear, and treating the person in front of you as a whole person.
Let's set the scene. When we say intellectual disability, what are we actually talking about?
In plain English, intellectual disability can mean a person has more difficulty understanding new or complex information, learning new skills, or using those skills in daily life. But that is only one part of a person.
Right, because someone's disability doesn't tell you their personality, their humor, their family life, their emotional intelligence, their education, or what matters to them.
So, cognitive disability is a broader idea. It can include intellectual disability, acquired brain injury, dementia, some learning disabilities, and other conditions that affect memory, attention, processing, planning, or communication.
So, for an Australian listener, this isn't a niche issue. The ABS has reported that millions of Australians live with disability, and many people need help with cognitive, emotional, communication, reading, or writing tasks.
Yes, and that's why respectful communication matters in real places. NDIS planning meetings, hospitals, TAFE, workplaces, banks, housing services, local councils, sports clubs, and family gatherings.
I like that you started with real places, because accessibility often makes people think of ramps, lifts, Auslan interpreters, or captions. All important. But communication has access barriers too.
And those barriers can be invisible. A person might be nodding along, not because they fully understand, but because they want to be polite, or they're used to saying yes to keep things moving.
Which brings us to the first big principle. Don't assume understanding, but also don't assume lack of understanding. That sounds like a fine line.
It is. Respectful communication means you speak clearly without speaking down. You don't use baby talk. You don't talk over the person to their parent, carer, or support worker.
So, practical example. Someone walks into a meeting with a support person. What's the respectful move?
Welcome the person first. Look at them. Then ask who they want in the conversation. A supporter might be a family member, friend, carer, advocate, or worker, but the person has the right to choose.
That feels simple, but it changes the power in the room. You're saying, "You're the main person here, this is your meeting."
Yes, and body language does a lot of work too. Open posture, calm tone, not crossing your arms like you're guarding a nightclub door. Professional, but personable.
I have absolutely done the folded arms thing when I'm concentrating. So this is a note to self. My thinking pose may look like a tiny court hearing.
That's such a good example, Riley, because intent and impact can differ. You might feel focused, but the other person might feel judged, rushed, or unsafe.
Let's talk about pace. One of the strongest tips I came across was that after asking a question, you may need to wait. Not 3 seconds, maybe 5 minutes or more.
That one lands, doesn't it? We are so uncomfortable with silence. But for some people, processing the question, finding the words, and forming an answer takes time.
And if we jump in too fast, we might accidentally take away the person's answer.
Exactly. Taking time now can save time later. If someone agrees without understanding, the problem doesn't disappear. It comes back as confusion, missed appointments, stress, complaints, or decisions the person didn't really consent to.
So patience isn't just kindness, it's accuracy, it's safety, it's better service.
And it's dignity. Speak calmly and clearly. Ask, would you like more time to think? Or, should we pause for a minute? Then actually pause.
Everyday language is another one. But here's the tension. Some services have to use legal, medical, or government terms. How do you keep it plain without hiding important details?
Good question. You don't remove the real term if the person needs to know it. You say the word, explain it, and remind them again later. For example, consent means you agree to something after you understand it.
So, not, here are your obligations under the relevant framework, but these are the things you need to do. Let's go through them one at a time.
Yes, short sentences, common words, one idea at a time. And if there's a hard word you can't avoid, ask, have you heard this word before? Rather than testing them.
That phrase matters. Have you heard this word before? Feels less like school and more like teamwork.
Building on that, breaking down big ideas is huge. If you're explaining an NDIS plan, a tenancy agreement, or a medical procedure, don't give the whole mountain at once. Give one step, check in, then move on.
And make the transition obvious. Something like, we finished talking about transport. Now we're going to talk about work.
Yes, signposting. It helps people keep track, and after a big section, offer a 5 to 10 minute break, not as a favour, but as a normal part of accessible communication.
I can already hear one counter-argument. Someone in a busy clinic or service centre might say, we don't have time for all these pauses and summaries.
That's the strongest pushback. Staff are under pressure, appointments are short, and services are stretched. People might worry that accessible communication means every conversation takes twice as long.
I hear that, but I'm not fully convinced. Because if someone leaves confused, they may need 3 follow-up calls, miss a deadline, or come back distressed. That's not efficient either.
I agree. The fair synthesis is that services need to plan for this properly. You can't tell frontline workers, be accessible, and then give them 10-minute appointments, noisy waiting rooms, and no easy read information.
So responsibility sits with both the person communicating and the system around them. That's important.
Definitely. Easy read is a good example. It's information written in very clear language, often with pictures, large readable text, bold headings, and one topic per page or section.
And it isn't just make the brochure shorter, is it?
No. Good easy read includes only the needed information, uses everyday words, often uses at least 14-point font, more spacing between lines, clear headings, and images that explain the message. It's designed, not dumbed down.
I love that distinction. Designed, not dumbed down. Because plain information can help everyone. People with intellectual disability, people with low literacy, people under stress, people using English as an additional language.
Exactly. Think about a hospital discharge sheet. Even a confident reader can struggle when they're in pain, tired, or worried. Clear information is not a special extra. It's good communication.
Let's talk about checking understanding because there is a bad version of this. Do you understand? Can feel like a trap.
It can. A better approach is to take responsibility yourself. Say, I want to check I explained that clearly. Can you tell me what you think happens next? That way the pressure isn't all on them.
And if they explain it differently, you don't shame them. You say thanks, That helps me know what to explain again.
Yes. Repeat important information a couple of times in different ways. Then you could send a follow up summary in plain English or easy read, especially after appointments, planning meetings, or serious decisions.
Open questions are another practical shift. Why are yes or no questions tricky?
Because some people may choose the answer they think you want. That's not dishonesty. It can be wanting to please, wanting the conversation to end, or not feeling safe to disagree.
So instead of, are you fine with this? Try, how do you feel about this? Or, tell me what you want to happen.
Yes, and how can I help you is often better than offering two choices too early. Open questions give people room to tell their story in their own way.
Phones are a whole other challenge. We use them for everything: banks, MyGov, GP clinics. But phone calls remove facial expressions, gestures, and written cues.
And for some people with cognitive disability, that makes phone calls much harder. So give extra time, check if a phone call is an option, or suggest email, text, video, in person, or speaking with the person's family member or their advocate. Keeping in mind getting the person consent on who to talk to is very important.
This is where pictures can help too. A picture can explain something like social distancing, a bus route, a medication schedule, or where to go when you arrive.
Yes, visuals support memory, but they need to be relevant. A random stock photo of smiling people doesn't explain the next step. A simple diagram, map, icon, or sequence can.
Let's bring in respect again. Sometimes people get so focused on simplifying that they become patronizing. How do we avoid that?
Ask the person. That's the most respectful tool. What helps you understand information? Would pictures help? Do you want me to write this down? Would you like a break? Don't presume everything is being understood. Always check in.
And don't be scared of the question. If it's asked kindly, it's not rude. It's actually saying, I want to communicate with you well.
Exactly. The key is tone and choice. You're not saying, you can't understand this. You're saying, people understand information in different ways. What works best for you?
For workplaces, this could mean clear agendas before meetings, short sections, breaks, and a summary at the end.
And in schools or TAFEs, it might mean instructions in steps, examples, quiet time to process, and checking understanding without putting a student on the spot in front of everyone.
For healthcare, it means not rushing consent. If someone is agreeing to treatment, they need to understand what it is, why it's happening, what the risks are, and what choices they have.
For government services, it means forms, letters, and online portals that don't require a law degree and a spare afternoon to understand. Plain English is an access issue.
The thread through all of this is that communication is not just about transferring information. It's about feeling involved, comfortable, and being heard.
That's the heart of it. When communication is accessible, people can understand what's happening, make choices, ask questions, and take part in community life.
So, if listeners take one thing from this episode, maybe it's this: slow down before you simplify. Look at the person. Ask what helps. Give time.
Always remember that these changes benefit more than one group. Clear speech, one topic at a time, summaries, pictures, and breaks make conversations better for almost everyone.
Ashley, final thought?
Respectful communication starts with believing the person has something to communicate. Once you believe that, patience, plain English, and their preferred communication style all make sense.
Beautifully put. Thanks for listening. I'm Riley, and with Ashley, this has been a conversation about making communication more human, more respectful, and more accessible. Take care, and we'll catch you next time.